The people that could say, oh, LeBron's the GOAT. No.
Previously on the greatest player to ever touch a basketball, Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
No one can beat him. He was the greatest ever. Ever. It's not debatable. It's inevitable. Pistons were going to lose 4-0. Lakers were going to lose 4-1. It was inevitable because he was just that good. And Jordan optimized that ability, optimized that system to its fullest.
He was human, but it was inhumanly possible to stop him. He never let you get to 6 games. That man you could not tame. 91 to 93, it was the same. 96 to 98, it was the same. They got comfortable. They thought it was sweet until it was time for the goat to eat. 91 was the start of pure domination, pure annihilation. Before 91, there was no anticipation, only premeditation, predation. The league was his prey.
What's up, YouTube? It's Tyreek Knight, YouTube Ty's Life. I'm about to be reacting to 1993. Michael Jordan was at his most dangerous. Let's get into the video. Let's go.
By 1993, Michael Jordan's eyes had changed. The joy that once danced in them during his earlier championships had hardened into something darker. He was still the hunter, but now he knew what it felt like to be hunted. Every night, every game, every moment. He was tired. Tired of the media, tired of the pressure, and tired of being everyone's target. But instead of breaking, he became something else entirely. Stronger, angrier, and more dangerous than the NBA had ever seen. This is the story of Jordan's most lethal season, when exhaustion, controversy, and tragedy transformed him into basketball's ultimate killer. If there's one disadvantage to winning back-to-back championships in any sport, it's the toll it takes over time. After logging 99 intense games in 1991 and another 104 in 1992, Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen didn't get much of a break. Instead, they jetted off to Barcelona to suit up for the iconic Dream Team, arguably the greatest Olympic basketball squad ever assembled. But while the world celebrated in Barcelona, something was shifting inside Jordan. The grind was becoming exactly that, a grind. The Bulls had logged 203 games in 2 years, as Pat Riley, who knew something about dynasties from his Laker days, warned. It's the championship that kills the champion. The hunger fades, personal agendas emerge, and somewhere between gold medal celebrations and photo ops in Spain, that hunger began to dim in Chicago. By the time the 92-93 season tipped off, Jordan was eyeing something historic, a third straight title. Only 2 teams had ever pulled it off, the Minneapolis Lakers of the 1950s and the Boston Celtics of the 1960s. No team had three-peated in the modern NBA. Legacy was at stake, but when the Bulls regrouped that fall, it was obvious. The wear and tear was setting in. Watch Jordan in 1993 closely. There were less of the acrobatic drives of 1991, replaced by more methodical post-ups. He'd added 15 pounds of muscle, not to fly higher, but to punish smaller guards down low. This wasn't evolution by choice, it was survival. The 93 Bulls were still very good, but they weren't the same dominant force. By season's end, they had dropped to second in the East behind the surging New York Knicks and third overall behind Charles Barkley's Phoenix Suns. Most pundits saw both teams as real threats to Chicago's crown. Sports Illustrated even predicted a Knicks-Suns finals. The Bulls were done, they said. What those critics missed were the Bulls' intangibles. That late-game grit, that unshakable confidence that had carried them through countless tight moments before. And Jordan, he was becoming something more terrifying than ever. Despite averaging 32.6 points, 6.7 rebounds, and 5.5 assists, plus finishing second in Defensive Player of the Year voting, Jordan's MVP streak came to an end. The award went to Charles Barkley, who had led Phoenix to a league-best 62-20 record. MJ would have something to say about that, but first, he'd had to navigate a minefield that went far beyond basketball. The whispers had been building all season. Stories of Jordan's late-night gambling sessions, six-figure golf bets, and connections to unsavory characters began surfacing in the media. It wasn't just casual betting anymore. Reports linked him to $1.25 million gambling debts. The Atlantic City trip before Game 2 against the Knicks became a media firestorm. Here was Jordan, supposedly preparing for the biggest game of the year, spotted at a casino until the early hours of the morning. Commissioner David Stern called him in for meetings. The media smelled blood. For the first time, Jordan's carefully crafted image, the smiling pitchman from the commercials, "Be like Mike," was cracking. "I have a competition problem," Jordan would later admit, trying to reframe his gambling as just another expression of his competitive fire. But the scrutiny was relentless. Every bet became a headline. Every casino sighting became a scandal. The NBA was in the middle of a changing of the guard. Magic Johnson had retired in 1991 after revealing he was HIV positive. Larry Bird, plagued by chronic back pain, quietly walked away in 1992. Suddenly, the full weight of carrying the league fell on Michael. At that time, Michael wasn't enjoying himself anymore. Magic Johnson would later reflect, "See what happened? Larry Bird and I left, and we left him. He's the one sitting there. Now it's just him." The joy that once fueled him was fading, buried under pressure and constant scrutiny, and that made him dangerous in ways the league had never seen. "Everyone's glad the playoffs are here," Jordan told reporters, his jaw tight with something between exhaustion and determination. "This is where the season is really made. Now is when the real fun begins." The regular season had been a grind, but when April arrived, and with it the familiar electricity of the postseason, something awakened in Jordan. That dormant fire didn't just flicker back to life, it exploded. The Bulls wasted no time silencing critics once the Eastern Conference playoffs began. In the first round, they made quick work of the Atlanta Hawks. Dominic Wilkins was still in peak human highlight reel form, averaging 29.9 points per game that season.
Crazy.
But he didn't have much help. Chicago swept the Hawks with ruthless efficiency in just 3 games. Jordan averaged 34.3 points, but it was how he scored that sent chills through the league. Methodical, calculated, no wasted motion. Next up, a familiar foe, the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Richfield Coliseum felt silent every time Jordan touched the ball. Cue the painful memories for Cav fans, especially the shot over Craig Elo in '89. But Cleveland thought they had finally solved their Michael Jordan problem. They'd signed Gerald Wilkins, brought in for one specific reason, to prove his self-proclaimed Jordan stopper moniker was legit. And early on, it seemed to work. With Wilkins pestering MJ all over the floor, the Cavs had won 3 of 5 regular season matchups against Chicago, but Game 1 of their playoff series told a different story. Jordan dropped 43 points on 16 for 30 shooting, treating Wilkins like a traffic cone. "The Jordan stopper had a tough time tonight," MJ said post-game, that dangerous smirk creeping across his face. "He's going to be ready to come back the next game, but so am I." This was different. This was the Bulls locked in. This was Jordan at his most lethal. When Cleveland tried to avoid a sweep in Game 4, Jordan reached back into his bag of nightmares. With the game tied at 101, Jordan missed a mid-range jumper that could have sealed it. Craig Elo, yes, Craig Elo, missed on the other end, giving Chicago one more shot. 18.5 seconds left, ball in hand, full court to go. The Cavaliers knew what was coming. Everyone in the building knew. Jordan fought through Wilkins' desperate off-ball pressure, caught the ball with 10 seconds left, made his move to the right elbow, elevated over his supposed stopper and another Cavalier trying to double, and drilled the game winner to send Chicago to the Eastern Conference Finals. The shot, part 2, another dagger in Cleveland's heart.
Wow. That's crazy.
Next came the real test. The 92-93 New York Knicks were built to dethrone Jordan. One of only 2 60-win teams that year, they had the league's best defense, giving up just 95.4 points per game. Pat Riley had constructed a team of bruisers specifically designed to punish Jordan every time he touched the ball, a strategy borrowed from his rivals, the bad boy Pistons. Madison Square Garden was a madhouse for Game 1. The Knicks took it convincingly, with their suffocating defense holding Jordan to 10 of 27 shooting. Then came the Atlantic City incident. Hours before Game 2, Jordan was spotted at a casino, gambling into the early morning hours. The media went into overdrive. Here was proof, they said, that Jordan's gambling was out of control, that he wasn't taking the Knicks seriously. The controversy seemed to affect him. In Game 2, the Knicks won again, capped by John Stark's thunderous
That
dunk
was
over multiple
crazy.
Bulls defenders. A moment that had New York thinking this was finally their year. The Bulls were down 0-2, and Jordan looked vulnerable. Back in Chicago for Game 3, Jordan shot just 3 of 18. The headlines wrote themselves: the gambling, the losses, the poor shooting. But here's what made 1993 Jordan different and dangerous. The Bulls still crushed the Knicks, 103-88. When we went to Chicago for Game 3, Jordan shot 3 for 18, but we were ill-prepared to win that game. Former Knicks assistant Jeff Van Gundy would later admit, "They beat us by 20. That was our chance. If we'd been right and ready, we might have gone up 3-0. Jordan's response to his poor performance was vintage 1993. Ruthless, calculated annihilation. In Game 4, with his back against the wall and the media circling like vultures, he erupted for 54 points in a 105-95 win. He didn't just beat the Knicks, he demoralized them. We exhaled instead of keeping that laser focus we had in the first 2 games, Patrick Ewing reflected. In Game 4, he woke up, and even though we played a much better game, we just didn't have enough. The Bulls took the next 2 and sent the Knicks home. That New York Knicks team might have been one of the best ever built, but they had the misfortune of running into Michael Jordan at his most dangerous, when he had something to prove.
So, what do you guys think about this video so far? Controversy with him gambling. What were you guys thinking at that moment, if you guys were around that time? Jordan went 3 for 18 and still won by 20? That doesn't even sound right. But it even shows like his journey to the finals was much harder than a lot of people say in this generation. Because I posted clips on clips about how Michael Jordan is better than LeBron James. And people are saying, oh, he's playing against plumbers. Oh, this and that, this and that. No, he has to play against Starks, that's 6'1", dunking on 7-footers. He has to play against Patrick Ewing, that's a bucket. He had to go against challenging players, and he had a good team. He woke up in the 4th game, 45 points. That's how you bounce back. I really feel like his journey is hard as anybody else, as any other Hall of Famer, anybody in the Mount Rushmore. His journey was as hard or even harder. Post up, spin around jumper, that was Jordan's go-to that allowed him to stretch out his career to get 6 championships. If he didn't do that, we don't even know if he'd have 6 championships right now. I think that adjustment was smart, was tactical, and it shows why he's the GOAT, I believe. I really feel like he's the GOAT. He adjusted. And I feel like great players adjust. Great players adjust. In 93, was that his toughest road to the finals? Let me know in the comments.
The biggest threat wasn't in the East. It was waiting in June. An MVP, a 62-win juggernaut, a city starving for a title. The Phoenix Suns believed this was their year. Charles Barkley had waited 7 years for this moment. 7 years of watching Jordan collect rings. Now, with home court advantage and an MVP trophy, Chuck thought the basketball gods had finally tilted the scales. When I got to Phoenix, I told those guys the first day, I said, guys, we're going to be in the finals. We're going to play that motherfucker in Chicago. Barkley recalled. I said, I'm sick of people telling me that he's better than me. I just didn't have no help in Philly. For the first time in 3 years, Jordan's Bulls didn't have home court advantage in the finals. Games 1 and 2 would be in the desert heat of Phoenix. Phil Jackson hoped Chicago would steal one on the road. Jordan wanted both. Phoenix's America West Arena was deafening for Game 1. Over 19,000 fans, sensing destiny, created a wall of sound that made Bulls players' ears ring during timeouts. But Jordan had entered the dangerous zone where noise became fuel. In Game 1, the Bulls' strategy was surgical. Don't double Barkley unless he was in the paint. Let him work for everything. The gamble worked. Sir Charles struggled mightily, going just 9 for 25.
Ooh.
Jordan had only 17 points through 3 quarters when the Suns launched a late comeback, trimming the lead to 88-85. But in the final 4.5 minutes, the most dangerous version of Jordan emerged. He scored 14 points down the stretch, each basket more cold-blooded than the last. Final line, 31 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 steals, and forced 5 turnovers. Bulls win 100-92. Game 2 was the Jordan-Barkley duel everyone wanted. Both stars dropped 42 points, but Jordan added 12 rebounds and 9 assists.
Damn.
More importantly, he made Barkley work for every point, using his added bulk to battle in the post. Bulls win again, 111-108. It looked like Chicago might cruise to a third straight title. Then came Game 3, one of the greatest overtime battles in finals history.
Okay, hold on. I just want to make sure I understand this. You go to the website, and then you're entered to win one of these 3 cars for free.
Correct.
Who approved this campaign? You can win a Lamborghini, souped-up trucks, or $100,000 cash. Earn more.
June 13, 1993. The United Center was electric, expecting a coronation. Instead, they got a wall. The Suns led 99 to 88. With 7 minutes 30 left in regulation, the Bulls looked exhausted, particularly Jordan, who had played virtually every minute. But this was 1993 Jordan, dangerous precisely because he had learned to weaponize his exhaustion. Chicago stormed back with a 15-4 run to force overtime. Then another. In triple overtime, bodies were scattered across the court like a battlefield. Players cramped, coaches ran out of timeouts. Jordan had taken 43 shots. Kevin Johnson, all 6'1" of him, had played 62 minutes, using his speed to harass Jordan while dropping 25 points. Suns coach Paul Westphal fought off flashbacks. He was on the floor as a player during the previous triple overtime finals game in 1976, when Boston beat Phoenix 128 to 126. This time, Barkley made sure history didn't repeat. He and Dan Marley buried back-to-back threes as the Suns survived, 129 to 121. Jordan finished with 44 points in 55 minutes, but for once, even his dangerous late-game execution wasn't enough. MJ bounced back in Game 4 with a masterpiece, 55 points on 21 of 37 shooting. It was the most points in a finals game since Elgin Baylor in 1962. The Bulls took a 3-1 series lead, but the Suns weren't done. In Game 5, despite Jordan's 41 points, Chicago fell 108 to 98, sending the series back to Phoenix. I believe it's our destiny to win a world championship, Barkley said after that game. We didn't care we were down 3-1. God wants us to win a championship. I talked to him the other night. Game 6, Phoenix, June 20, 1993. The Suns led 98 to 94 with under a minute left. The home crowd could taste it. But championship teams, dangerous teams, find a way. Jordan grabbed a defensive rebound and went coast to coast for a layup, 98-96. On the next possession, Chicago's defense forced Dan Marley into a desperation heave as the shot clock expired. With 14.1 seconds left, the Bulls had the ball. What followed was poetry. Jordan passed out of a double team to Pippen, who drove and found Horace Grant. Grant, 0 for 5 in the game, and gun-shy, made the extra pass to John Paxson beyond the arc. Swish. Bulls lead 99-98. Once Pax got the ball, I knew it was over, Jordan said. Phoenix had one last chance, but Grant blocked Kevin Johnson's drive, sealing Chicago's three-peat. Jordan averaged 41 points in the 1993 finals, a record that still stands. He won his third straight finals MVP, cementing his place among the all-time greats, but the celebration felt different this time.
I think records like that matter most. Probably one of the most important moments of your whole entire career. You go and average 41 points a game, and that's a record? That's a record that still stands? He executed every time. The lowest he scored was 22 points, and there's guys that put them in the GOAT discussion that scored 8 points in the finals game, and he's putting up 41 points a game. The lowest he's ever scored in a playoff and in a final series is 22 points. When we talked about the GOAT discussion, we got to bring up moments like this. The 41 points in a series, like you're averaging that in a series against the Phoenix Suns, and the Phoenix Suns had a very good team. Kevin Johnson was a very good opponent. He could really play defense. That's not an easy 41 a game. That's a motivated 41 a game. Oh, you can play defense. Let me go at you every single time. It wasn't easy. I could tell you it was not easy. It was not easy. Jordan willed himself into that. Like he had to compete. He had to compete. He had to put up rebounds. He had to put up extra assists because he knew who he was going against. And I feel like moments like this, you just have to cherish it and understand it. And the people that could say, oh, LeBron's the GOAT, No, no. You have to really look throughout the career and not just assume, because you have to look at the stats. The way you watch LeBron, you know, all his stats and all that stuff and what he's done, and you're amazed by him. You have to go back and do your research for Michael Jordan and what he's done in his career and what LeBron did and what Michael Jordan would not do and didn't do. You could not catch Michael Jordan putting up 8 points in the finals. You can't catch Michael Jordan losing to the Mavs in the finals with a D Wade beside him, the Bosh beside him. There's too many factors to help you to win a championship.
Even Barkley was in awe. I thought God wanted me to win the finals, but I didn't realize God was wearing number 23 for the Bulls. After clinching his third title, Jordan's exhaustion was visible. Winning this championship is harder than anything I've done before in basketball. With all the ups and downs that I've gone through this season and the mental approach that I've had to take into each game, he told reporters there were no thoughts of walking away. My love for basketball is still very strong. That was June 20, 1993. On July 23, Jordan's world shattered. His father, James Jordan, who Michael called his best friend, was murdered at a roadside rest stop in North Carolina. James had been more than Michael's father. He was his anchor, the man who taught him to stick out his tongue while concentrating, who stayed up late talking baseball and life after games. When police found his body, they found Michael's 1993 All-Star ring on his finger. The grief was suffocating. Jordan wouldn't speak publicly for weeks, and when he finally did, his voice cracked. He saw my last championship. I'm grateful for that. On October 6, 1993, Michael Jordan shocked the world by retiring from basketball. The gambling controversies, the exhaustion, the loss of his father. It was all too much. I have reached the pinnacle of my career, he said. I just feel I don't have anything else to prove. 1993 wasn't Jordan at his most athletic or even his happiest. It was Jordan at his most dangerous. A player who had learned that greatness isn't about feeling great, it's about delivering when you feel nothing at all. He scored 41 points per game in the finals while battling tendonitis in both knees, his ankles and his wrist. He carried the weight of an entire league on his shoulders after Magic and Bird left. He fought through gambling scandals that threatened to destroy his legacy, and after his father's death, he battled through grief that would have broken most people. This was the Jordan who proved that when everything is falling apart, a true champion doesn't just survive, he dominates. 3 months after the greatest scoring performance in finals history, he walked away from basketball. But first, he made sure everyone knew who owned it. The 1993 Michael Jordan wasn't just dangerous because what he could do on the court, he was dangerous because he showed the world what it really costs to be the greatest, and that he was willing to pay it every single night. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more just like it, remember to like and subscribe because there's plenty more on the way.
All right. So that could have been his hardest championship because all the stuff he had to go through mentally. I mean, once the job was done, his dad ended up dying, but going through all of that and then also going through his injuries, I don't know if he had any other injuries in his other championships, but this is the first I've heard where both his wrists were like injured and his ankles were injured too. I didn't know he was going through that, and he was able to put up 41 points and then go through a Kevin Johnson and have to give him buckets all series, even though he's a great defender. To go through that matchup and then also worry about Charles Barkley. He's not able to guard him, but it's like Charles Barkley's going to have his 40 points, and Michael Jordan just has to do what he has to do. He has to match that every game. That's why he had to put up 41 points, right? So I feel like, yeah, that was a tough one. That was definitely a tough championship. He was number 3 in the league, number 2 in the East. So they weren't at the top of the top of the league or at the top of the East. They didn't really have to be to win a championship, to be honest. If we're gonna really be honest, you could be in the top 4 and win a championship. You could be in the top 5. You could be 8th place and still win the championship. If your team's good enough, they're good enough. And yeah, honestly, I feel like learning about that, because there's a lot of things I saw and heard in this video that I didn't even know.
I didn't even know Michael Jordan had to go through that. As far as injuries, I knew about the gambling situation, but I didn't know how bad it was. Um, I didn't know that. Um, what was the thing they had to go through? Oh, I didn't know they were down by two. I think I might have heard it before, but maybe I forgot. I didn't know he had to go through that with the Knicks. I didn't know he went for. I didn't know he went 3 for 18 and still won that those games. And still won that game, and then came back and had a 54 point game. I didn't know he did that. There's a lot that I learned in this video, and that was a good video. Any video that's informative like that, has like a documentary style type of video, I enjoy. So recommend any videos like this, or recommend any videos from this guy. What's his name again? What's his channel? Channel's Hoop Central Throwback. Hoop Central Throwback. So subscribe to him, because that's some good videos. Uh, check out his stuff and then recommend his stuff to me. I'll probably check his stuff too. But yeah, that was a great video. That was a great video to say the least, for sure. And yeah, share any of my videos. Share this video to anybody that you know. Um, follow me on Twitch, Thai Night M, because I'm gonna do live streams there at 5 p.m. every Friday. And subscribe here. And yeah, I'm trying to grow with you guys. I'm trying to make this a full-time thing, and build on this and make documentaries myself for Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, just NBA legends in general. I'm trying to bring back the nostalgic vibe, and put these guys up there so people don't forget them, because they're starting to say things that is like, yo, are people forgetting or they're not doing the research? So right now, I'm really doing my research, and finding out new things, because I would say I'm really well versed in this stuff, um, compared to anybody else in my generation. Um, but I can see that, like, the stats, the moments are just fading and fading and fading because people are not doing the research, and they're just giving people the crown of the GOAT, without actually looking into Michael Jordan like they would know how LeBron will operate in a finals, or in his career. So yeah, I've noticed that. So I'm really trying to push this narrative that these guys are that. You know what I'm saying? And that's not to like disregard LeBron James or anybody, because you guys might not even like this, but I put LeBron James at number two, behind Jordan. I just can't say he's better than Jordan, because there's certain things that he didn't do in his career that Jordan did, and there's things that LeBron failed at that Jordan would never fail at, because that's not even his temperament. So that was a great video. Like, comment, subscribe. Yeah, follow my Twitch, Thai Night M. Follow me on Instagram, night_Thai. What else? Yeah, that's about it. That's about it. And also, yeah, just recommend videos. I'm gonna say a quick prayer. In the name of Jesus, I pray. Whoever's watching this video, bless them from the crown of their heads to the soles of their feet. Whatever they go through in their life, allow them to put God first, and also to understand that whatever they're going through in their life, everything's a process. God is putting you through these things so you can handle your blessings later on. If you're not ready for your blessings, if you're gonna let your blessings slip, if you're gonna give into your old ways, um, then it's just not gonna work out right now. So the blessing that you need right there now at this moment, God is preparing you for it. God is molding you for it. And He's preparing you to be a better person, and not just to bless yourself, but to bless your family and to bless the people um, around you, and just anybody, just blessing others, just loving others, people that you might not even know, but people that are less fortunate. He's putting you in that mindset to not be selfish, but to be selfless. So if things are not working out for you right now at this moment, and you have goals that you haven't got to yet, really evaluate yourself and evaluate your priorities and ask yourself if you're putting God first, if you've forgiven people, if you have a heart to give back to people once you get the success and the money you want. Are you going to be humble and give gratitude to God and understand where it comes from? Or are you going to be cocky? Are you going to be more into yourself and be selfish? Just you have to reevaluate yourself. Do you manage your assets the way you're supposed to? Um, do you do you practice financial literacy? Because God is not going to give you money if you can't handle it. If you're gonna get money and just gonna throw it away, God is not gonna give you that blessing because you're just gonna waste it. So I pray that everybody will lock in and get their priorities in check and make sure all the boxes are checked when it comes to handling your blessing, and really evaluate yourself and ask yourself, are you ready for that blessing? So in Jesus' name I pray, allow everybody to get ready for that blessing if they're not yet. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. So stay blessed, stay lit, and I'm out.